Today, I am reviewing the Lenovo Legion 5i gaming laptop. If at any time you'd like to explore this product for yourself and grab it at a great price, be sure to check the links below the video. When you are in the market for a laptop that bridges the gap between a portable workstation for university students and a high-performance gaming rig, the Lenovo Legion 5i occupies a very specific niche. It is a machine that tries to balance the raw, unadulterated power of the latest Intel Core i7 processor and the cutting-edge NVIDIA RTX 5070 graphics card with a chassis that does not look like a spaceship from the future. If you're interested in looking at the current pricing or checking out the technical specifications in detail, you can find the links in the description below the video. The 2024 iteration of this machine is particularly interesting because it shifts the focus toward the screen and the cooling architecture, which are two areas where gaming laptops traditionally struggle. The first thing that strikes you about this particular model is the choice of the PureSight OLED display. Putting an OLED panel on a gaming laptop is a double-edged sword. On one hand, the color reproduction, the deep blacks, and the contrast ratios are absolutely stunning. If you are using this laptop for creative work, color grading, or simply consuming media, it is going to look better than almost any IPS display on the market. The 2.5K resolution is the sweet spot for a 15-inch screen, providing enough pixel density to keep text crisp while not being so demanding that it forces the GPU to work overtime during productivity tasks. However, the downside of OLED is always the risk of burn-in if you leave static elements on the screen for too long, and the 165Hz refresh rate, while perfectly adequate for most gamers, is not quite as blisteringly fast as the 240Hz or 360Hz panels found on more expensive tournament-focused machines. If you are a competitive shooter player, you might find the 165Hz limit a bit underwhelming, but for the vast majority of users, it is perfectly sufficient. Under the hood, the Intel Core i7-14700HX is a powerhouse. This is a workstation-grade processor squeezed into a laptop form factor. With its hybrid architecture, it handles background tasks exceptionally well. When you are writing a paper, juggling 50 browser tabs, and running a background sync process, the efficiency cores keep the machine feeling snappy. When you fire up a game, the performance cores take over to drive high frame rates. That being said, the i7-14700HX is a thirsty chip. It demands a lot of power and generates a significant amount of heat. This is where the Legion Coldfront hypersystem comes into play. Lenovo has put a lot of engineering effort into the thermal management here, using a combination of larger heat pipes and a fan design that is intended to be quieter than previous generations. In practice, you should expect the fans to ramp up quite aggressively during heavy gaming sessions. While the marketing materials call it whisper quiet, that is really only true when you are doing light office work or browsing the web. Under a full load, physics dictates that you need to move air and you will hear those fans. The inclusion of the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 is the primary reason you are looking at this laptop. This is part of the Blackwell architecture, which brings notable improvements in power efficiency and AI-driven performance. The AI Engine Plus feature is something that works largely in the background, adjusting the power profile of the CPU and GPU dynamically. In most modern titles, you will see a tangible benefit from this, as it balances the load to keep frame rates stable rather than letting the machine hit a thermal wall and stutter. However, do not expect the RTX 5070 to be a magic wand that allows you to play every single game at 4K resolution on ultra settings. It is designed for 1440p gaming, and at that resolution it excels. You'll be able to push high settings in almost any title, and with the help of DLSS 3, you can achieve very impressive frame rates even in unoptimized titles. One area that often gets overlooked in these reviews is the memory and storage situation. This model comes with 16 GB of RAM. In 2024, 16 GB is becoming the bare minimum for a serious gaming and productivity machine. If you are a power user who likes to have a video editor open alongside a game, you are eventually going to hit a wall. Fortunately, the RAM is usually upgradable on the Legion series, which is a massive point in its favor compared to many thin and light competitors that solder their memory to the motherboard. The 1 TB of storage is a standard, solid starting point, but given how large game files are becoming, you will likely find yourself needing to upgrade to a 2 TB drive or adding a secondary drive sooner rather than later. The design philosophy of the Legion 5i is what I would call utilitarian chic. It is not trying to be flashy with RGB lighting everywhere. It is a clean, professional-looking machine that would not look out of place in a university lecture hall or a corporate boardroom. The build quality is solid, utilizing a mix of high-quality plastics and metal reinforcements that give it a sturdy feel without making it weigh as much as a brick. It is portable enough to carry in a backpack across campus, but it is not a sub-3-pound ultrabook. You are carrying a dedicated cooling system and a high-performance GPU, so you have to accept a little bit of heft. The fast charging technology is a welcome addition here. Being able to get to 70% charge in under 30 minutes is a lifesaver when you are between classes and need to top up your battery before heading to the library. Let us talk about the software experience. The Legion Space software is how you control the AI engine and various performance profiles. It has improved significantly over the years, becoming less of a bloated mess and more of a functional dashboard. You can toggle between quiet, balanced, and performance modes, and you can see real-time telemetry for your hardware. It is not the most intuitive piece of software I have ever used, but it gets the job done. The inclusion of 3 months of PC Game Pass is a nice value add, especially if you're new to the platform. It gives you immediate access to a massive library of games to test out the hardware right out of the box, which is a great way to see what your new machine is actually capable of. If you are a student or a professional who needs a machine that can do it all, the Legion 5i is a very strong contender. It is balanced, it looks professional, and it has enough horsepower to handle demanding creative software like the Adobe Creative Suite or C80 applications alongside modern gaming. However, there are some people who should avoid this machine. If you're looking for the absolute thinnest laptop on the market, this is not it. If you are a hardcore competitive gamer who needs a 240Hz or 360Hz panel, you'll be disappointed by the 165Hz cap, regardless of how good the OLED colors look. Also, if you are expecting the battery life to match a MacBook or a dedicated productivity laptop, you'll be disappointed. Even with the power-efficient hardware, the nature of a high-performance gaming laptop means you're going to be tethered to a wall outlet for any serious gaming session. The value proposition of the Legion 5i is found in its longevity. Lenovo has a reputation for building machines that last. The cooling system is robust, the components are accessible for future upgrades, and the chassis is durable enough to survive the daily grind of a student lifestyle. You're paying a premium for the brand and the build quality, but you are getting a machine that is unlikely to feel obsolete in a year or two. The biggest potential disappointment for a buyer might be the fan noise. If you are coming from a silent ultrabook, the sound profile of the Legion 5i under load will be a shock. You will need a good pair of noise-canceling headphones if you plan on gaming in a shared space like a dorm room or a quiet office. The keyboard and trackpad deserve a mention as well. Lenovo has long been the gold standard for laptop keyboards, and the Legion 5i continues that tradition with a tactile, well-spaced layout that is excellent for long typing sessions. The trackpad is large, responsive, and uses Windows precision drivers, which means gestures work exactly as you expect them to. It is rare to find a gaming laptop that gets the input devices right, but Lenovo has managed to do it. The port selection is also generous, providing enough USB-C, USB-A, and video output options that you will rarely need to carry a dongle with you. This is a small detail, but it makes a huge difference in day-to-day usability. When we consider the target audience, which is clearly university students and young professionals who game on the side, the Legion 5i hits the mark. It does not try to be the best at one thing by sacrificing everything else. It does not try to be the thinnest, the loudest, or the most colorful. It tries to be the most reliable, high-performance daily driver. The OLED screen is the star of the show here, and it really does elevate the experience. Whether you are watching a movie, editing a photo, or playing an open-world game, the visual fidelity is a step above what you get on standard gaming laptops in this price range. There is also the matter of the RTX 5070 and the Blackwell architecture. This is current generation hardware, and it is going to stay relevant for a long time. The AI enhancements are not just marketing fluff. They actually help in managing the power-to-performance ratio in a way that feels seamless. If you are someone who likes to tinker with settings, you can go into the BIOS or the Legion Space app and customize everything to your heart's content. But if you are someone who just wants to click an icon and have the game run perfectly, the machine handles that for you as well. I want to be very clear about the thermal situation because that is where most people end up feeling let down by gaming laptops. The Legion 5i stays cool where it matters, specifically around the WASD keys and the palm rest. You might find that the area above the keyboard gets quite warm, which is normal for a laptop with this much power. The air intake is on the bottom, so you have to be careful about using this on a soft surface like a bed or a plush carpet. If you block those intakes, the performance will drop and the fans will scream. Always use this on a hard, flat surface, or get a laptop stand that allows for proper airflow. If you follow that simple rule, you will have a much better experience with the thermals. Regarding the battery, do not believe the marketing claims about all-day battery life for gaming. You'll get decent battery life for web browsing, writing, and watching videos if you turn the refresh rate down and lower the brightness, but as soon as you launch a game, that battery is going to drain in an hour or two. This is standard for the industry, but it is worth reiterating for anyone who might be misled by the promise of portability. This is a desktop replacement that happens to be portable, not a portable laptop that happens to game well. The build quality is another area where Lenovo differentiates itself. The hinges are smooth, the display lid has a nice amount of resistance, and the overall finish is resistant to fingerprints, which is a small but appreciated detail. The speakers are decent, providing clear mids and highs, but they are lacking in the bass department, as is the case with almost every laptop. You're going to want to use a headset for gaming, both for the audio quality and to drown out the fan noise. In terms of competition, there are plenty of other options out there. You have the Asus ROG Zephyrus line, the HP Omen series, and the Dell Alienware machines. Each has its own strengths and weaknesses. The Asus machines are often thinner and lighter, but can run hotter. The Alienware machines often have a more unique aesthetic, but can be more expensive. The Legion 5i occupies a middle ground that feels very sensible. It is not trying to be a fashion statement. It is trying to be a workhorse. For a university student who needs a computer that can survive a 4-year degree while also providing a high-end gaming experience in the evenings, this is a very balanced choice. I think the biggest risk for a potential buyer is the temptation to overspend on upgrades that they might not need immediately. You have 16 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. Start there. Use the machine for a few months. If you find yourself hitting the limits, then upgrade. Do not feel pressured to max out the specs at the point of purchase unless you're doing heavy professional video editing or 3D rendering. The base configuration is extremely capable. To summarize, the Lenovo Legion 5i is a well-engineered, practical, and powerful machine. It does not suffer from the common pitfalls of overly aggressive gaming aesthetics or poor build quality. It prioritizes the user experience, from the excellent OLED display to the tactile keyboard and the well-thought-out port selection. It is not perfect, as the fan noise and the thermal demands of the high-end hardware are things you have to manage, but it is an honest, high-performing device that delivers exactly what it promises. If you are looking for a machine that can transition from the lecture hall to the gaming desk without needing to be switched out, this is a serious contender that deserves your consideration. Just remember that it is a high-performance machine, and it will require you to be mindful of its thermal needs and its power requirements. If you can handle those realities, you will be rewarded with a laptop that provides a top-tier experience for both work and play. When you are looking at the price tag, keep in mind that you are paying for the whole package. You are paying for the cooling system, the screen, the chassis, and the support from a major manufacturer. There are cheaper laptops out there, but they often cut corners on the display, the build materials, or the cooling, which inevitably leads to a worse user experience down the road. Lenovo has found a way to hit a sweet spot here, where the components work in harmony rather than fighting against each other. The integration of the AI engine is a prime example of this. It is not just a gimmick, but a way to ensure the hardware is being used as efficiently as possible. If you are a student, I would highly recommend looking into the student discount programs that Lenovo often runs. It can knock a significant amount off the price, making this an even better deal. Also, consider the warranty options. For a machine that you're going to be carrying around in a backpack, having a good accidental damage protection plan is a very smart investment. It is the kind of thing you hope you never need, but if you ever do need it, it pays for itself tenfold. I find it interesting how the industry has shifted away from the gamer, look toward this more professional aesthetic. It reflects the reality that most people who buy these laptops are not just using them for gaming. We live in a world where students and professionals are multitasking constantly, and they need a machine that can keep up with that pace. The Legion 5i is perfectly positioned for this reality. It is powerful enough to handle the workload of a professional, yet it does not look out of place when you are sitting in a coffee shop or a library. That versatility is something that is often undervalued until you actually own the machine and realize how much you appreciate not having a neon-lit chassis. Another point I want to touch on is the software support. Lenovo has been fairly consistent with their BIOS updates and driver support for the Legion series. This is crucial for a laptop that uses such high-end, cutting-edge hardware. As new games come out, and as Windows continues to evolve, you want to know that the manufacturer is going to keep your machine optimized and secure. Lenovo generally has a good track record here, which adds to the long-term value of the laptop. If you are feeling disappointed by the lack of certain features, like an SD card slot or a fingerprint reader, that is a fair critique. Those are things that some creators might miss. However, the trade-off is that you get more room for cooling and a more robust internal design. Every laptop is a collection of compromises, and Lenovo has chosen to prioritize performance, thermal management, and display quality over some of the creature comforts that might be nice to have, but are not strictly necessary for the core experience. When I talk about the user experience, I am talking about the sum of all these parts. It is the way the laptop feels when you open it, the way the screen looks when you turn it on, the way the keyboard feels under your fingers, and the way the system responds when you launch an application. On all these fronts, the Legion 5i provides a premium feel. It is not a cheap feeling, and it is not a flimsy feeling. It feels like a machine that was designed by people who actually use laptops for gaming and work. I want to reiterate the importance of the display. Once you move to an OLED panel, it is very hard to go back to an IPS screen. The colors are just so much more vibrant, and the contrast is so much deeper. If you do any kind of photo or video work, you will see details that you might have missed on a standard display. It really is a game changer, and it is one of the primary reasons to choose this specific model over others in the same price range. As for the gaming performance, the RTX 5070 is going to keep you relevant for several years. Even as games become more demanding, the combination of DLSS and the raw power of the Blackwell architecture will allow you to keep playing at high settings. You might have to tweak a few things in the settings menu as the years go by, but the machine will remain capable. That is the hallmark of a good investment in a gaming laptop. Think about your daily routine. How often are you near a power outlet? How much do you value portability versus raw power? If you're a student who spends most of the day on campus, you might want to consider a power bank that supports USB-C power delivery, though keep in mind that those will not provide the full power needed for intensive gaming. They will, however, keep your battery topped up for productivity tasks, which can be a huge help. Ultimately, the Lenovo Legion 5i is a balanced machine that hits a lot of the right notes. It is not perfect, and it is not the right choice for everyone, but for the person who needs a high-performance, professional-looking, and reliable device, it is a very strong option. It is a workhorse that can game, and a gaming rig that can work. That is exactly what a lot of people are looking for, and it is exactly what this machine delivers. If you have any questions about the specific performance in a certain game or how it handles a specific type of creative software, feel free to drop a comment. I try to stay on top of the comments as much as I can. And again, if you want to check the current price or get more details, the links are below. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this review, and I hope it helps you make an informed decision on your next laptop purchase. Choosing a machine like this is a big investment, and it is important to go in with your eyes open, understanding exactly what you are getting and what you are not. I have tried to be as honest and balanced as possible, covering both the strengths and the weaknesses, so that you can decide if the Legion 5i is the right fit for your specific needs. Whether you are a student, a creator, or a gamer, there is a lot to like here, provided you understand the trade-offs that come with a high-performance laptop. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.